All right, Fatherhood's fans, thank you for joining us again. This is a special one, at least for my Knicks fans out there. I know you probably as excited as I am. Today on the Fatherhoods, we're joined by someone who, like I said, New York sports people know pretty well. But we're about to hear a different side of this gentleman that you don't really always get to hear about on ESPN or on MSG networks. He's a co-host of the Don Hahn and Rosenberg show on ESPN New York. He's also a part of Knicks coverage on MSG Network. And he's been a trusted voice in New York sports for many, many years. Also, I think you started at newspaper, right? It was Newsday.
Yeah.
But beyond the mic and the studio, he's also a father of 4 kids, with a wide range that we'll get into in ages. So it hits very close to home, obviously, for us. And we've heard him say this in the past, but I would imagine it's very true. like he holds the job of being a dad so near and dear, probably the most important thing that he does. So welcome in Mr. Alan Hahn. And normally we would have claps, but my roadcaster sucks.
His roadcaster hasn't worked since day one.
I got to be honest with you. It's the type of response I usually get, so I'm very comfortable playing to silence.
We're going to make sure we'll put the crickets in there for the.
I got to tell you, the most awkward thing from transitioning from, what a word to use, from journalist to broadcasting was, when you're a writer, you write, you send it, there's nothing. But when you do anything speaking wise, and you guys probably can relate to this because you're all separate.
Yep.
Is you say something that is like, I'm going to kill him with this one. And you say it, there's a camera, like in the studio, sometimes there's just a camera. If I'm by myself in the studio, like courtside at the Garden, there's a camera guy, there's a stage manager, there's an audio person. The audio person's like this, just making sure, audio is working. The lighting person puts the lights on and then they go back to whatever they're doing, playing, Candy Crush or whatever. and so all you got is the stage manager. And if the stage manager isn't really paying attention, because they can hear the two-way conversation. So when you say something that hits, right? If there's, like, you're looking in a room and there's nobody reacting, you feel a certain way.
You missed it.
You feel a certain way, like, damn, that didn't work. So, but trust me, silence is something I'm quite used to, and the older I get, the more I appreciate it.
Totally. Like I said in the green rooms, you're a busy dude, man, and we, like, people who follow sports here in New York, we see you, like, the multifaceted life you live from that perspective. But there's choice moments where you do decide to include some semblance of the family, that you go home to every day, particularly, your children. So I'd love to understand a little bit, just kind of getting things going. You mentioned you have 4 kids, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us the age ranges and kind of where they are in their travels of being raised by you.
So my oldest is 24, and she graduated from grad school, University of Miami. And she's now started her career, got an apartment, like she's on her way. And I still worry about her every day. My son's 23. He's at New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire. He plays hockey there. It's a really high level of hockey for college hockey. It's like the best conference, the Hockey East. And I'm excited for him because this is like a big year for him coming up. Then I have a 17-year-old who's in her last year of high school. And she plays volleyball, and she's pretty good. And then there's my youngest one. She's 10, and she's following her brother by playing hockey, because why wouldn't I want to go through the youth hockey experience again, traveling all over the place? I mean, only hockey parents and maybe baseball parents might be able to understand this, but it's a different life once you commit to playing youth hockey to a point where vacations are actually driving on a Friday somewhere in New England in the snow, and we get to stay in a hotel for 3 days. But all we're really there for, it's not a vacation. We're going to hockey games at rink 78 at this labyrinth of hockey where there's a million kids running around. But that's what we do. So I'm committing to it for another time around. It should be a lot of fun. So yeah, this is where we are. So don't ask me about vacations. Don't ask me about where do you go? How do you unwind? Unwind is when I drop her off because she needs to be there an hour before the game, and I sit in the car and I get maybe 20 minutes of quiet to myself. There's my vacation.
And are you, so being the sports guy, I don't know if your wife is into sports. I assume by
My
association.
wife was a better athlete than I was. She played
Really?
she played softball at North Carolina, and
Wow.
she was really good. Yeah, they got all their athletic ability from her. I just like I'm 6'6", so my kids, most of them are big, and they at least get height from me. But yeah, no, she was the real athlete, not me.
That's crazy. So, but the responsibility of going away on these tournaments and that kind of thing. I mean, you probably go as a family, but when push comes to
No,
shove, it's
no,
you.
yeah, it's we actually have to separate a lot.
Yeah.
So my wife's the organizer, and I'm sort of the mule. Just pack up everything on top of me, and then I'll get us there, and I'll make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. But her trust in me is basically down to, I know you'll get there, but you're going to forget a million things. So I have my checklist, I have my schedule. She keeps me on point for the times I can. But honestly, once the NBA season begins, there's very little I can do. I saw my son's college debut watching on ESPN Plus on my tablet
Wow.
from a hotel
Wow.
room. Yeah, I'm sitting there like, just tears running down my face as he's skating out on the ice. And my wife was there, my girls were there, but it was, me just sitting in a hotel room watching that, while it was great, was also really, really depressing in its own way.
Did your how do you think your son feels about that? Is he on board and
Totally
understands
gets
the
it. Yeah.
dynamic? That's good.
He
Yeah.
totally gets it. Yeah. He's fine. I mean, they all grew up with me. I was a sports writer, so I was never home, constantly traveling during the winter season. So it's something they just are all, really used to. And I do what I can when it's important to just let them know, guys, I can't work tonight. I gotta go, and that's one thing. But my youngest understands. She's the fourth. So when she was born on a Friday the 13th. And it's the fourth one at that point. I mean, even then, my wife's like, don't worry about the epidural. I got this. Just get the catcher's mitt out. It's coming. But I, like today, like people are taking paternity leaves. You're gone for 6 weeks. I This is a true story.
Is that a Peter Rosenberg shot?
It wasn't a shot. It's just a reality. Because I'm like, you could do that. Because the next day, the Knicks played that night, and so I let my boss and everybody know, like, okay, yeah, we had the baby. She's great. She's doing great. And the next line is, "You going to do tomorrow's game?" And I looked at my wife like, there's a game tomorrow. She says, "Go. What are you going to do? Just go." So I worked the next day.
Wow.
It's like,
Shout out to Rosenberg, by the way.
that's what we do.
Oh, shout out to his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of
Mrs. Hahn's a real one.
well, I mean, again, it's the fourth one.
True.
The first one, you're losing your mind. I can't even spell my last name's 4 letters. I couldn't spell it. Like, it's like like that's what happens when you have your first kid. But the fourth one, honestly, like, just sit back. She's got it. She's good. I'll work tomorrow. I'm fine.
You said something that I just want to make sure I understood. So, the epidural on the fourth one, was that like real? Like her reaction was just like,
No.
Okay.
No. The reality is they were late. I almost took out the what's his name? The guy that comes in and pokes all the drugs in her.
Yeah.
The way he was like almost scolding her. She was in terrible labor pain and she couldn't move a certain way. And he's like, "She's got to move." And I'm like, "Bud, check
Relax.
your tone. We're gonna have a problem." So
Right.
no, I'm kidding in that point, but she was by that point like a pro and was like, "Come on, like you want to work tomorrow? Go ahead, work. What are you gonna do? Like I'm gonna be here. My mom's here. You're fine."
And so that's 4 natural births?
Yeah.
Do you come from a large family? Was it did you guys want a big family of your own?
Well, I had 2 older sisters, so we were a family of 3 kids. And my wife only had 1 brother, and we thought we were good, and then Callie, man plans and God laughs, and Callie appeared, and we're better for it.
So Manny wants to ask you, when's the 5th one coming?
When the Knicks win a championship, I've already said
next year,
boy or a girl, it's going to be Jalen. I don't care if it's going to be Jalen. And if the Knicks win a championship with Jalen Brunson, I've already told my wife I'm on record of saying we're going to have another one and name it Jalen. I don't know if she's on board, but we'll figure it out.
You sneaking past the goalie. Don't worry about it.
Apparently, I can do that.
Just to tell you real quick. So my wife had three. We have three children, all epidural. Actually, I'm lying. The last one, she refused the epidural and she just went full like natural.
Pro.
I mean, that shit was insane.
You were next to her, right?
I was there.
Who cried harder, you or her?
I winced like my teeth were grinding. I was like clenching so hard. Not because of anything other than the squeeze that she put on my hand was something the pain I've never felt in my life.
I honestly, I couldn't hold it back because I was so, and this is going to sound, like a put on, but I'm dead serious. I lost it emotionally because of how strong she had to be. And I was just so overwhelmed by her. Like I wasn't even considering what was happening down at the end of the bed. I was just so caught up in like, oh my God, like the amount of strength that's taking for you to endure this pain. And it overwhelmed me, totally overwhelmed me. So, that was one of those moments in life where you just, you really can't control the emotion. It had to come out. And then of course she just looks at me like, what's wrong with you? No, get a hold of yourself.
With my first, I felt that rush of emotion when I finally held him. Well, my second, when I held him in my arms. So I have a stepdaughter. I didn't get to see her be born, but when I saw my first, child be born, that rush came.
Oh yeah.
And you get to a point where you're just kind of like, why is this? Stop. You're trying to stop because I couldn't see. It was so many tears, and I'm trying to like hold the baby and all that.
Yeah.
But I get it. That strength is something different.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how it never stops, right? The first time you let them walk into kindergarten class, the first time you drive away from college dorm, like it doesn't seem to ever stop, does it? That those uncontrollable moments, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hey Manny, speaking of the college situation, so last time we spoke, your daughter's in college now. What's been the aftermath at home? And Alan, like, how do you guys commiserate when with kids going away? Because my son is 13, and so it's he's creeping up there, but I can't imagine it. Quite honestly.
I mean, like for me, like drop off was what we expected it to be for the most part. Like we set her up in her dorm room. I had to play Tetris with all her freaking furniture to make sure everything fit because they jammed too many. It's two girls in a room, but the furniture's
it's two girls in a room. Exactly. I mean, two boys in a room. It's a jail cell. It's a cot. Like they're like, well, just put the Xbox over there. Everything. Who needs that? Exactly. I'll throw the clothes on the floor. What's the dresser for? To sit on. Like he's so right. But girls, it's oh my God, it's stacked up to the ceiling. So Tetris prepares you for getting a girl's dorm room ready.
100%. 100%. So after an hour and a half of playing Tetris, figured that out. Left. We had lunch with her. Dropped her off and just like kind of ripped the Band-Aid and left. Like my wife and kids all kind of had their moments of like, sentimentality, I guess. They were crying and whatnot. My youngest, so I had shared with the boys here before we were like getting ready to take her. My youngest is like the jackass of the family. Like she's like the one that pretends to be the hardest and like doesn't care. Mm-hmm. And she was saying that, like, we were like, so you're not going to miss your sister? She's like, nah, we got FaceTime. We'll be all right. The moment we were leaving, she grabs her sister, hugs her, and wails. She's like, like from nothing to that.
Yeah.
And we were all like in shock. So my daughter starts crying. My other daughter starts crying. My wife starts crying. Everybody, starts crying. And everybody's looking at me like, why aren't you crying? And not that I was like trying to be the, macho or anything. For me, I'm so happy for her that she found the right fit as a school. Amen. And that whole independence journey she's about to go on. Amen. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So till now, like it's been great.
Yeah, that right there is the sweet spot, is when you get that feeling of I'm not looking back on what's over. I'm looking ahead to what's about to happen. And that I had more with my son, but I had it twice in the same year, only because my son went to prep school for hockey the same year my oldest daughter went to college. So suddenly I'm sending two away at the same time. And we dropped him off first. He was early, so it was August. And that was hard. He was 16, and it was like really hard, at that point, but he had to for hockey. It's a thing in hockey where certain areas, it's like you get to a point and then all right, I got to kind of take it up a notch. And, the prep school thing became real. And fortunately, because when you see the bill, you're like, what the hell? But, if you're a good enough player, the bill isn't that bad. So so watching him, because they don't let you go up in the room. They really do that, like you said, rip the Band-Aid off thing. So everything was fine. He was nervous and he had to go in and up by himself. Like that was it. And man, turning around, I was, a little emotional, but I was more like, this is awesome. Like the school's incredible. He went to Taft up in Connecticut, gorgeous school. Like I was so focused on like, especially after taking the tour of the school, seeing everything, I'm like, can I go here? This is amazing. Seriously. So I was so caught up like that. But once I saw my wife, that was it. Like, but my oldest daughter, that was sort of I couldn't let go of the little girl letting go hand thing like that. I was a complete mess. And maybe it's just girls. Maybe there's something about that, but it's the, daddy's little girl thing. I don't know. But I really felt that more than anything. But funny, when I took him up to UNH, that was more the same feeling. Like, again, I took my daughter up with me, my youngest one, and she did the same thing. She was fine. She was fine messing with him and all that stuff. And then the minute it was time to go, she just wouldn't let go of him. I, again, just was like, this is so great. The path he's going on. It's so great. So it is it depends on, I guess, which kid, what the situation is. But the hardest for me is, and it's my hardest, I know it's coming. And that's my 17-year-old. She's the daddy's little girl. Like that's been my, like, you'll love them all, but they're all different.
Yeah.
And she's the one I'm like, I just feel like I'm gonna have a hard time letting her go. That's the one I'm gonna have a hard time with.
What's the transition at home after that?
That's a great question. So again, both same year, left, one in prep school, one in college. Let's see, for about 2 straight weeks, every morning, they both FaceTime me. One at 10, one at like 10:30, 11. It was unreal, like back to back. And we would talk and catch up and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, they stopped.
Damn.
You know what I mean? And then it's like
they cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah. And then you're like, you good?
You good?
Yeah. Yeah, just doing this. Okay. And then like I'll check in with my oldest and I'm like, everything good? How's your day? And she's like, oh, I'm with this and so, and isn't it? I'm gonna do rush. I'm gonna do sorority. Oh, okay. So, and then you realize that your job is complete, because what is being a dad other than
preparing them,
raising your kids to a point where they don't need you, right? And knowing you're there, but they don't need you. So for the first 2 weeks, they needed some comfort, and then once they found their place, they're good.
That's a pretty profound statement you just said.
Yeah,
so,
and that's the point.
Because our job is to raise them until they don't need you.
Yeah. Raise them well enough to where they don't need you, but they know you're there.
Yeah.
So the comfort of knowing you're there, but knowing that they've learned enough to not need you.
Which is a hard pill to swallow as a parent.
Oh my God.
You want them to need you.
Yeah. You'd love that, but after a while, you're like, you know what? I don't really want to tie your shoe anymore. Learn how to tie your shoe. But you don't realize what you're doing there. Once you teach them how to tie the shoe, that's one less thing they need from you. Right? Like it's all these little things that you do. So, but that's, you asked, like, what's the transition like? That's kind of what it was like. And my wife, it would be at night. She's a teacher. So after, before bed and stuff, she would FaceTime and check in and all that stuff. And then again, those start to cut down. And now it's like FaceTiming my son, and he's like laying on a couch in his apartment. And the next thing you know, it's like, there's his girlfriend right next to him. And it's like now she becomes part of your life, and like now it's another kid. Like it's it's stages, man. You know what I mean? So the transition when they leave the house is one where you could tell that they're not ready to let go yet. But it's almost like when you tie a boat to the dock, you just loosen it so the boat goes out a little more, but the rope's still there, right? And then little by little until the rope's finally disconnected from the dock, and then it floats away. And so that's sort of the transition. It's never an abrupt, they're out, they're gone, and you never hear from them. You are, especially with phones today, FaceTime, man, it does help so much more than, like, I don't know, you guys remember. I know when I went into my dorm room, and I remember my dad took me, and when he left and the door closed and he went out to his car and drove away, and I just sat, my roommate hadn't moved in yet, and I'm sitting in my room like, that's it. And the only way I can call home is to go to the payphone. Like there was no other way to talk to my parents or stay in touch with them. That was it. It was done. There was no email, nothing.
Yeah.
So that felt more like
like abrupt
the door.
Yeah.
The door slammed more than today. Today it's just
I'm
barely on 95 and my son's already calling me. Like so it's a little different.
Having a daughter go first to college, like she kind of broke the seal, so to speak, in that world for you.
Yeah.
How was that? Because there's multiple concerns, right? As a dad, you always worry more about your daughters for some reason, for many obvious reasons. What was going through your head when that, transition occurred?
All the things that typically do, especially if you went to college and you did things.
Yep.
You were part of things, you saw things, like it's that fear of knowing I know way too much. I know more than I should. And you want to warn them about everything, but you can't overwhelm them with that, because what are you going to do then? Scare them. So yeah, there is something there. Now I was lucky because, my oldest daughter she's brilliant. Like, and I'm not, every parent says this, but she's really smart. And since she got to high school, she was preparing for college. She couldn't wait to go to college. It was like her escape. She was almost bored with high school. So she had such an ambition about her that she just couldn't wait to go. So when she found her school, that was her school and it was the right place for her, her energy and her optimism and enthusiasm was just so great that it was hard to do anything other than just like, go ahead. This is what you've wanted. This is what you couldn't wait to do this. But yeah, and her second year was COVID. And that was, like you're talking about now all kinds of other fears, lockdowns, and she got sick one time and couldn't leave her room. And I'm like, I'm taking off. I'm going up there and I'm just going to stay with her. Like, I didn't want to leave her. She's alone. Right. And you couldn't interact with anybody. We were door dashing food to her room. She was in an apartment, to her room. And then the person would have to leave it at the door and then leave. And then she could open her door and eat, like, by herself. It's what a sad place to be. So that experience, and a lot of parents probably can relate to that. When your kids are far away enough where they can't just come home on a whim, and they're going through a COVID lockdown or themselves got sick and in quarantine, man, that made it different. But yeah, you worry about everything, of course, but especially with daughters. But I was lucky because she had such a head on her shoulders and knew what she wanted and was very ambitious, that I wasn't worried about her. Like, like my sister went for one semester, came back, and she had a degree in partying. Like, she was able to teach me everything I needed to know about keg stands and what parties to go to. But my parents weren't thrilled about it. But I always worry about that stuff, but I didn't have to with her.
So my
sister's going to be so mad at me for saying that, but we all know it's true.
My daughter's about to get upset with me in a minute after I share what I'm about to. So I'm a big believer, and it sounds like you subscribe to a similar thing. All that work you do in preparing your kids, right? All that child rearing you do, and expectation setting, foundation setting, all these things, they're microscopic in the moment, but they kind of all roll into this big reveal almost of your child when they are moving into this next phase, right? And if you as a unit, if you are fortunate enough to have your partner you guys are together raising your kids together. You end up in a place, usually, if you've done the right things, in my opinion, where you can confidently let them out into the world and feel good about them making, on average, good decisions to what they encounter.
Right.
And so for me, that was like the biggest, or has been the biggest, sense of relief, because my wife will worry about, and I also worry about random things happening because they can happen.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, I trust her. Like, I trust her to do the right thing when the moment calls for it.
And why do you trust her? Like, what is it?
We've not tested her, but life has happened, and we've seen her reaction in microcosms.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that when things are kind of moving off the path that we're expecting it to, we've been able to kind of reel her back in and explain to her why that's not the right path to go down, and see her acknowledge and understand and course correct without us having to threaten or do some of these wild things, like,
because of the example you set.
Sure.
I mean, every child is like, my wife is a teacher. She uses a phrase, apples and trees. And that's, again, apple far from the tree, right? Like, it's what you see in a child is a reflection of a parent. That's a real thing. It's a learned behavior. A lot of things are. And so there's a lot of times you have to make a choice as a parent in a moment where the kid's watching. And whether the kid's 2, 5, 7, 13, 18, 25, how you act does shape what they'll do in the same or similar moment. And so you don't have to tell me anything more, because clearly there were moments that you made the right choice, which showed her an example of, in this situation, it's what would dad do? What would mom do? That's generally the first. A lot of times when kids do have a respect and appreciation of their parents, whether you see it or not, which most of the time you don't, but the way you can tell is their default, what would dad do in this situation? And that's clearly what you did.
Yeah, no, my wife and I, we pride ourselves in that, for
both,
sure.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll share really quickly, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I promised you roughly 30 minutes, so I want to keep to that.
No, I really enjoy this. I'm really enjoying it.
Good.
Yeah.
So as my daughter's taking off, right? Like the day before we're gonna take her to school. We call her into our family room, and we're like, look, we need to have, the other kids went to bed. We're like, yo, we want to have this one-on-one with you real quick before you head out. And I go, listen, when you have sex, and she went.
You went when? I love it.
Yeah. Because again, like, a lot of this is trust, right? And so I'm not a fool. Chances are good that thing will happen there.
Yeah, the days of the dads who are like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to come on, stop it. Like, again, as we both said, I went to college. I've seen things. That's a whole other podcast. But it's like we're not stupid. But I'll let you finish. I just want to jump off what you're saying, because I think I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, it was just like the precursor to, like, prepare her. Like, yo, look out for these kinds of things will likely happen, and it's okay. You don't need to be like worried about things, so long as you're taking the proper precautions and you're being smart about how and when you decide to make these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And she was shocked at first. She wasn't expecting that rawness from us, and we weren't raunchy or anything. It was just like too real for her.
Direct. Yeah.
And it was cool to see once we finished and my wife and I both had the conversation. It wasn't just dad, like, popping off. And her response was like, she welcomed the advice, basically, which for me was, I knew I was going to approach it a little bit too direct. That might cause some issues, but it was a mature conversation. Yeah. And she took it as such too, which was great.
And that's perfect. And what you did there, of course, is break the seal of awkward, which is once they hit that age, it's important. So I had a rule with them, and each one of them, and now that my middle one's 17, it's like I've already started with her, but the older ones already know this. This is almost like my creed. If you lie to me to cover something up, I can't help you. If you're always honest with me, And even if it's like the most embarrassing, honest, but just if you're straight with me, I can always help you. Because now I know the details. Like I knew it was coming or whatever it is, I'm ready for it. But if you're covering something up and you don't want me to know and you try to hide it, I can't help you. So always keep in mind, like if you're always honest with me, there might be things you do where I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why would you do that? I'll get mad in the moment, but I'll always have you back. Once I get the anger out, which every dad's got to do, what the hell are you doing? We all have to do that. Mm-hmm. But once that's over, then I'll take a breath and go, all right, let's fix this. All right, let's figure this out. Let's get through it. All right, now let's go from here. And I've always said that. And so it's funny because I wasn't sure how they'd take it. But man, my two older ones, they don't hide anything. And there's times I'm like,
TMI.
Yeah, like that's cool, but I didn't need to know. Like, I don't need that kind of thing. But I also appreciate it because while there are times as a dad, you're just like, yeah, didn't need to hear that. But it's also okay. So now I know that and that's the trust thing, Manny, you were talking about. Like that's so important, that mutual trust where I trust you'll tell me and you trust that I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to lecture you, because how else can you become your own person? And I think by now I trust the fact that you've seen me with the right example. And I know that you'll make your right decisions based off of what you saw from me. And look, no one's infallible. Yeah. We're all going to do dumb stuff. We all do. We've all done dumb things and we have to own them. And
so you get past them too.
Right. And learn from them. Right. So those are the scars of life. So it's not to go too deep, but it's like, even when you see new parents and you see little kids and man, they want to protect them so carefully. Don't fall down. Don't cry. No, kids are supposed to fall. They're supposed to cry. They're supposed to do things that are cause and effect. Because if they don't, they won't learn from that. So as much as you want to protect them, because there's nothing worse. There's no worse sound in the world than the sound of a crying child. It's the worst sound I could ever hear. But there's times it's necessary so that they learn from it, and then they're better for it. They're stronger for it. They're smarter for it. And as parents, sometimes, we have a hard time accepting that fate. So, go ahead. All right, go ahead. And then there they go. They're going to fall. I'll come pick you up. I'll give you a hug, get you through it. But you're going to have to fall because you don't believe me when I tell you don't do that. Yeah. And the same thing was when they're 18 and 25. The same thing. You gotta sometimes you see the crash coming for whatever decision they're about to make. And as long as I'll be there when it's over and I'll help them pick up the pieces, but they're going to do it. And sometimes you got to let them live through some of those experiences of, the boyfriend that is just like, man, this is not the type of guy you want to be hanging out with. And then, a couple of weeks later when she's crying because he treated her like crap, like, well, try to tell you, but now you've learned. And that's why being there as a support mechanism is way more important than being the protector.
Mm-hmm. So closing kind of question in the same vein, because and we've talked about this before previously, like my 13-year-old, for example, he's on this kind of independent kick, as he should be, of like, hey, I want to do more independent stuff. Yeah. And so he's always kind of throwing it back at us like, hey, you guys, when you were 12, 13, like you guys are telling me like you're on the subway, you're walking around the city, you're riding your bike, you're doing all this kind of stuff, no phone, no tracking systems, any of that kind of shit. True. But when I want to do these things, you guys say no, and I have a tracking device, and so it's just like
he's got you. Yeah. Actually,
I really don't want to come back.
Yeah, that's a smart kid. That's a smart. When I was 13, I would just yell back. I wanted to not. I mean, he might be a lawyer because he's already got the evidence built up. He's making his case.
Yeah, I just sat there.
If I was a counter argument.
Yeah, I kind of was like,
I'm just telling you,
dumbfounded. What the hell?
If I was a judge right now, I might be siding with his case. I might say, he is making a good point. But so, are you more hesitant because the world is different now?
You know what? I think that is an excuse we give, but I don't even know if it is that much different. Maybe there's all kinds of fucked up shit going on back when we were,
when you were 13 taking the subway. Give me the years. What year was it?
This is in the
80s.
late 80s, that kind of.
Yeah. You mean Ed Koch at Mayor Dinkins, New York City?
Yeah.
When come on, when you and your boys were running to Times Square, not because you wanted to see the dancing cowboy, but because you knew that there was one place that if you put a quarter in, and all of a sudden the screen goes up. No, right? Who has the nerve to stay there longer? Come on,
so yeah, I guess I don't know if the world is that much different, right? We certainly know that there's a lot more. We know of more dangers.
Too much.
Yeah, we know too much. So
and we know in real time. That's the difference.
And I think that is the scary thing of just oh my God, all these different things can happen if I just take my eyes off once,
right.
and so I think that's the limiting factor of maybe you're not ready, maybe but how do they learn the street smarts if they're not in the streets? Is basically what it goes to.
That's true, and a lot of that could be where, my girls love going to concerts. So even as teenagers, all right, I'm in the city, I'm working, take the train in. I'll meet you at Penn Station, but take the train in on your own. And then it's from there, okay, I'll get you in the building, but then you're on your own. And afterwards, I'll meet you, but you're on your own. That's the kind of, and then a little more the older they get, then it's okay, I'm downtown. This is the subway you take to meet me. I'm down at Seaport. I'll meet you at the station, but you're on your own. And it's almost like that's again the same thing I said about the rope and the tether to the boat. It's I'll let out a little more, but not a lot, a little at a time. And maybe that's just the freedom, the little bits of freedom that he could get.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah.
You could go in the city with him and then just do your own thing and just know that if something's up, I'm 2 blocks away rather than I'm an hour and a half away or whatever it is. So that's the kind of stuff I might think about. I'm not trying to preach to you or give you, I'm just thinking that's kind of what I would probably consider doing. And I know I have done a lot of times is I'll be nearby, but you want to, you want to be cool. You want to do your own thing. But I feel better knowing that I'm sitting at Stout watching a game, knowing that if you need me, I'm 5 minutes away.
I'm with that.
And if you don't, great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect, actually. Yeah, that's good. I got 2 questions for you. One is going to be probably a deep one, hopefully. I want to get some.
This whole thing's been deep. No, I love this. This has been great.
And real quick, Manny, I'm just here listening because I have a 5 and a 7-year-old. So I'm just looking uphill at everything you guys are saying right now.
Oh, my God. You're still in Bluey heaven.
Yep. That's exactly where we're at.
You're in the stage of where you don't even know what regular music is anymore because all you hear is Disney songs and all these other songs. Oh, my God. It's a glorious place to be.
So in that actual lane, right, Alan? What would you advise, or what life advice would you give a father that's dealing with small kids like an EFN at this stage?
It's hard to relate, honestly, because it's such a different world now. I without knowing, I'm just going to say I would take my time giving them a tablet or a phone.
Too late.
I know it's a lot.
Well, I haven't given it to them. We give it. They only get weekends.
Okay. They get
time slots to watch it.
Okay. Managing it is important because it's something that with my 10-year-old. Now, again, my older kids were my son was on the end. My oldest daughter was at the end of the start of the phone thing. So it really wasn't anything until they were older. Right. My 17-year-old, forget it. It's just, I only communicate with her through Snapchat. That's it. And it's always a picture of her, making a face. And I'm like, all right, you're doing well. You're happy, But the younger one, the behavioral thing that we have noticed is the more time they spend on the tablet, the more agitated they are.
I've noticed that as well.
The sweetness goes away. They're a little more demanding, impatient. But you take it away for a while and you do activities outside, run around, whatever it is, and that sweetness comes back and the happy comes back, the endorphins come back. So it's something that we took it away, and because of communication importance, believe it or not, there's an Apple Watch that is only like you can talk, you can text on the watch, but there's no tablet, there's no phone connected to it. So she can still talk to her friends, but it's on her wrist. So she can hear voices. It's this Dick Tracy stuff, but it's great. And she can talk, but she's walking around a room, or she's making beads for, bracelets, or she's coloring or drawing or whatever it is that she's doing. So at least it's not staring at a screen. And that's something for younger parents. That's such a challenge, because you also then deal with how many of their friends where the parents don't put that much effort into managing their tablet time or their screen time. And you almost feel that's the FOMO. And, you're trying to keep up. The challenge you guys have is really hard to deal with. And the only comparison that I can have relatable wise is, you remember being a kid and Saturday morning cartoons were like the thing, right?
The best.
Saturday morning, you can wake up as late as you wanted, but you just lay on the living room floor, you put the TV on, you have a bowl of cereal, and you'll just watch cartoons. And you always knew what was coming on after, what was next and what was next. And you look up and suddenly it's 11:30, 12 o'clock. That's when the minister came on, right? Remember, like, you'd always get the televangelist to come on. You knew it was time the cartoons were over. But you just were sitting there for 4 hours. You didn't know. You're a kid. You're just staring. So it's the same kind of thing. And now all of a sudden, now you feel lazy, lethargic. And that's a frustration from parents from back then. Used to be the get up, get outside, do something. And you'd be like, what's the problem? You don't realize it as a kid. So they don't know what they're doing. They just know it's an attraction. So you guys that's a tough challenge for your generation of parents. That's the best advice I can give you, though.
And at that, the schools are making them use the tablets for work, which is crazy.
Yes. But they also are taken away, at least in the schools in New York.
Well, here in Miami, it's at home. They have to do it at home.
Okay.
Amount of hours throughout the week.
At least they feel like they're doing something with a tablet. That was a thing here. But in New York, they made a law this year where you have no phone. You can't have a phone or watch or anything that can communicate.
Right.
It all has to be locked away. And it's been like cold turkey for a lot of these kids, but give it a couple of weeks and they won't even realize it. They won't even notice it. And I think it's important, especially the younger ones, man. That's the hardest thing. How do you keep them active? Because that's when the endorphins kick in. And when the endorphins kick in, they're happy. But when they sit still, staring at a screen, while the dopamine is kicking in because they're enjoying whatever they're watching, the lethargy happens, and then the agitation starts up, and suddenly their personality changes, and you don't know why. And you get mad at them for it. And I keep saying, like, it's not their fault. We have to be a little tougher, a little more stricter with stuff like that. So,
damn, I had an episode this morning with my 9-year-old daughter, and as you're saying it, that's literally how she kind of transformed into this.
It sucks.
And it's definitely the iPad, because she's on that thing religiously, and she's getting into basketball now. So when my son got into basketball, he broke away from us allowing him to use it, and that's been like fill their time with other things. That's been our approach to it. But damn, you're spot on.
Yeah, it's endorphins versus dopamine. Like, not to get chemical, but that's really the truth. Is movement and activity is more endorphins, whereas staring at something that is appealing and you just kind of get lost in it, that's dopamine. And that's your battle that you're fighting here and not every kid is going to be athletic, and not every kid's going to be active. So that's a hard thing for parents who don't have, who have kids that maybe aren't like that. But you just got to find something activity wise, whether it's painting, whether it's music, something that draws you away from that, the trance. And we all do it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, how long do we spend in the bathroom, boys?
My wife will tell you all day.
Right? How long do we spend? Well, you don't realize it because you're just kind of doing this, and you realize, like, all right, I got to get up. Like, I got to get up from this. But we all do it. We all do it.
Yeah.
So, Alan, I want to close with just one parting question here. Just about, like, if you had the opportunity to freeze one moment in time related to fatherhood and relive it over and over, what would that be?
God, that's such a good question. It would have to be all of them, because there's I thought you were going to ask me, which is a harder question, if you could. I always like the movie Click, Adam Sandler. I love
Yeah.
the rewind, fast forward
Yeah.
life. And I always say, like, if I could do it just to go back to a time for each one of them so I could hug that kid one more time, that thing, the
Yeah.
chapters of everybody's life, once it closes, you never go back. And that's something that I always say, like, if you could go back to what version of each kid, but
But no, if
as
you
a
have an answer to that, that's a good one too.
yeah, well, there's a lot of it is because this is something I saw in a meme, and it just I'm sitting on a subway and tears are rolling down my eyes, like what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Mm.
It was one that I saw that said, "There's going to be the last time you pick up your child,
Mm.
and you don't know it. You don't know
Yep.
that's the last time," which is funny because, like I have done, and luckily my youngest one loves it. Like she's 10 and she's 100% big girl, strong girl. And I still pick her up because I'm like, you're the last one until I have a grandchild. You're the last one. So I'm going to keep picking you up. My 17-year-old's like, get away from me. but I'll run up to her like, I want to pick you up. But you don't know that last time. So I guess like that would be the thing. If I can remember the last time and do it.
And kind of cherish that.
Yeah.
Living that a little longer.
Something like all of us are dads. We've all experienced that moment, whatever it is, where they just come running at you and you know it's coming and you just, like there's something, you talk about endorphins. Like there's just something about that, is probably one of the greatest experiences, physical experiences you can have as a dad is that hug.
Put them on your shoulders and walk around with them and all that good
Right?
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there's put them up here
Yeah.
and watch fireworks and have them just sit up here. It's the rite of passage, right? They all go up on your shoulders at some point in their life and they enjoy that. But yeah, those are the things to me, because the one moment in fatherhood, just it's hard because with four of them and they're so separated in age, I can't possibly think of a moment where they all got along at the same time, like where it felt like, hey, this is cool. Like we were out to dinner one time recently, actually, where everybody was home and we were all together. And I remember saying to my wife, they all get out of the car, we pull in the garage, and I go, like, that was special, like because they were all together, we had a really good time, and these moments are fleeting now. So, but the hug, yeah, picking them up, the pickup hug is
that's the best.
It's the one thing we can never, like you never know that last one. You don't know when it's coming. Yeah, so my poor Callie, she can't. She'll be 15. I'll be like, let's go. Let me pick you up.
Yeah. Well, until Jalen comes.
Right, when the Knicks win the championship and we have another kid and I name it Jalen, boy or a girl, you can go Jalen. Doesn't matter.
Do it. Yeah.
Like, it's that's the perfect name, and so yeah.
So what? And I don't want to put you on the spot, so you can choose not to answer if this is going to cause you any issues. But like, what is your prediction for this next season? How far are we going?
Well, I can't make a prediction. What I can tell you is an expectation.
Okay, there you go. That works.
And
I like how you did that.
Yeah, well, because you don't know how things are going to play out, and I feel like if there's been ever a season to feel this is the time. We've always been waiting for that, right? Like as the Knicks have kind of taken their fan base through a journey where it's just like they just want to get to the days where they can compete. Well, you're there. Well, we want to get to the days where you can be a contender. You're there. We want to get to the days where you're a favorite. You're there. So the last time I remember feeling this way was
94,
93, going into that year.
Yeah.
And Michael Jordan had stepped away to play baseball, and suddenly the East looked like the road's open. And even Pat Riley, I tell this story. Pat Riley decided he was going to have a Midnight Madness practice, October 2nd, 1993. They were down at, I think it was Charleston. They had practice, and he had them show up at 12:01. The first day you were allowed. It might have been October 9th, whatever it is. The first day you were allowed to be on the court in the NBA, 12:01. And they ran a practice for an hour and a half. And he said, we want to be the first ones on and the last ones off. That's the attitude, because they were, by the way, the betting favorites. They were plus 200 to win the championship that year. Wow. They were the betting favorites going into that season. And the Knicks right now, I think, are tied for fourth best odds to win the championship. And that's the highest odds they've had since that year to win going into a season. 99 we know was a bit of a fluke. It was a surprise. You didn't know there was going to be that. This feels like this is the year to do it if it's going to finally happen. It's got to all come together. Health is a big part of it, but if they're going to do it, this feels like the year, and that's a pretty exciting place to start. So that's how I feel. I feel like, like this is the time. I love the thing, I wish we knew the glory years while we were in the glory years.
Yes.
But we never know it until it's over. Then you're like, oh, those were the glory years. And I try to tell fans, listen, this is the glory years for this just iteration of the franchise right now. And
live in the moment. Appreciate this. Because the thing that attaches me to those glory days is actually this interesting book here that I have in my hand.
It needs to be updated.
So I tweeted this when I got it, and you said the same thing then. You were like, it needs to be updated. But the 100 things Knicks fans should know and do before they die. There's a lot of stuff in here that you don't notice in the moment, right? I lived through some of these things, and then you go back in time also, right, about things that they predate me.
Yep.
But it's a really cool, and I pick it up every so often just to kind of remind me, especially now when I'm gearing up for the season. It's a really cool book. I'm glad you made it. And I just need to know when the next book is coming out. That's really what we need.
It's funny.
My wife's been teaching my son how to be a Knicks fan, the joys and the pains.
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you added the pains. There were years, but I look at it like, New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? Yeah. That song to me is a sports song. It's not a love song. Because it truly is about being a fan of a team. Because sunny days, everybody loves them. It's easy to be an Eagles fan right now, right? It was easy to be a Warriors fan a couple of years ago. It's harder when you've got to live through the worst of times, the pain, the struggle, the frustration, the desperation. And then when you start to see it turn, man, that's when you really, and that's what I think a lot of the 100 things is about is, look, there's things in those 100 that aren't good stories. Like the Knicks don't want to promote that. The Knicks will never sell that book in the bookstore because it's got half the book is about embarrassing or frustrating or depressing or controversial moments in franchise history, but you can't feel all of it. You can't feel what it truly is to be a fan without understanding what you got, what you came through, what you endured, and how it turned around. And so, that's the trueness of a fan. So I'm glad. I hope he does understand that, that there were times where, my God, for a decade I begged for a point guard, and then Jalen Brunson shows up, and people are like, they gave this guy $100 million. I'll never forget it. And it's funny how fast he has become now. The favorite son. He's become the prince of the city, and I really have a deep respect for Jalen Brunson and everything he's done to become the player he has, and also how he understands where he is. He's not overcome by it. But going into this season, there's a part of me that's wondering, if it doesn't click this year,
what happens?
Will he now start to understand there's another side of New York that comes out once they start getting, because Patrick Ewing went through it.
Yeah.
And when does, that's his cycle. And that's why I kind of, every now and then when I talk to him, I just remind him, listen, man, everything else is bullshit. The only thing that matters is winning. Because everybody's going to love you and they're going to tell you how great you are. And that's all nice. But really, in the end, the currency is winning.
100%.
And that's it. And it's funny because, all these years later, oh, we love Patrick. He was the greatest. He was the best. I don't know. People were on his case a lot. So it's a reality. But yeah, that's the true essence of being a fan, is understanding that there was bad, but when you get through it, the good is so much better because you went through the bad.
Yep.
And it's hopefully this is the best of times right now.
Well said. All right, Alan, thank you so much, man, for chopping it up with us. I look forward to inviting you back when Jalen is born. So
I look forward to being here when Jalen was born, because that means there was a banner put up.
That's right. That's the only reason you would have a Jalen. So that
means we got one of these. Ooh, right? Nice. You get one of these. 1970, that one.
I want to know more about that, but you know what? I saw you once upon. Actually, we can end this. I just want to tell you a couple of things real quick before we get out of here. Thank you again, and yeah, man, I look forward to you having a wonderful season. Can't wait to see you do your thing on those MSG broadcasts. And every so often, I'll check you out on ESPN. But ESPN, the channel, I feel like hates too much on the Knicks, so I try to stay away. You're the only reason.
It. Monica McNutt and I try to balance it. We do the best we can.
Yeah. All right, brother. You take care. Thank you.
Thank you.